our enemies, or we return to Valhalla.
Hello there everybody, you're the audience. My name is SuperSonicBlur and welcome to another God Guide. Wow, it's been a little bit of time. I may have gotten a little bit engrossed in Hand of the Gods, but let's not forget what that game is based off somewhat, and that is Smite. So, I thought I'd come back and I'd go with Skadi. The reason for going with Skadi for this guide is simple. Over the Energy Invitational, we saw Skadi get picked up, and a lot of people originally were like, this is a bit iffy, you know, I'm not really, why would you do that? And we saw why. She can do amazing amounts of damage. She's not as safe as some other hunters, but she can still be fairly safe. She has a lot of mobility in her kit. However, the big change is mostly to do with a couple of actives that have changed, specifically Sprint. So as a result, Skadi can see a lot of play. There's a couple of different variations in terms of what you can do with her with build-wise, and they all do a lot of work for her. You can do high attack speed, you can go high pen, you can go a little bit of a combination between the two. It's really quite an interesting one, and Skadi has a lot of versatility with it, be that from regards of split push with damage, be that from regards of within a team fight, she can be very, very disruptive. There's a lot of different things you can do with her. So hopefully if you have a look on the screen now, you'll see each of the three different sections of this video. So if you want to jump to just one in particular, well, there you go. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to go over the kit of Skadi. So Skadi's passive is called Calder the Winter Wolf. That's this little guy down here. You see him? He a good doge. He a very good doge. Calder fights by Skadi's side and has two forms, Beast form and Elemental. While in Beast form, he can attack enemies and be attacked, while in his Elemental form, he is immune to attacks and regenerates health over time. His forms can be controlled with Skadi's Rune of the Hunt, but he will be forced into Elemental form should he lose all his hit points. He is a pet, so he doesn't shred tower protections, but he will tank it. He gets 5 HP, essentially, the 5 runes above him, and you can see on the passive meter. 5 basic attacks, 5 instances of damage from enemy gods will tick out the 5 hit points. 1 instance takes out 1 hit point, and minions require 5 hits. So he's kind of tanky, and he can be quite nice, especially just in the middle of a 1v1 trade. Calder comes out, he eats 2 basic attacks. Alright then, he doesn't necessarily do much else, but if you hit in those 2 basics, and your opponent doesn't, that's 2 free basics that you get in. Think very much like Artemis, where Artemis uses Tusky as a meat shield, literally, and has this crit idea. She can trade out a lot because you can't hit her, and she can hit you, and she can hit you a lot efficiently. But Calder is very strong from that. So you start with Rune of the Hunt. Rune of the Hunt has no points in it, but it's the exact same way as a stance changer is, except instead of your stance, it's the doggo stance. So this is a targeter. Anything in the range, you can set Calder on. As you can see, Calder will now attack it. And Calder has a... he scales off your attack speed, I believe, as well. So, yeah. Toggle scale. Well, toggling. I'm going to go over the Rune of the Hunt now. So the toggle is Skadi marks an enemy for Calder to hunt. While toggled on, Calder assumes beast form, chasing and attacking the marked enemy. If a marked enemy dies, Calder attacks other enemies nearby. You can toggle this off, and Calder will stop attacking and return to Skadi, reverting to his elemental form on the way. This ability can be activated at rank 0 and gains new skills as you rank it up. So the base attack for it, I believe, is I'll check actually because I can use the combat log. So yeah, he hits for 15, so it's about what if we say like 40%, just under that, of the base attack that you have. As you level it up, you do get that new ability. So his basic attack damage not only will increase, but also as well at rank 1 he gains a dash attack. I have no idea exactly what they determine for this, how much damage this ability does, but as you can see, he will bonk and he'll hit someone. So that hits for 38, so it's 100% of your basic attack damage, and Calder will do that. He will also now attack for, instead of 15, it should be 4 more now. Oh no, it is, so it is 40% at rank 0 as well, but that's it. Then at rank 3, getting a kill on something will heal him. And finally, rank 5, Calder's basic attacks give Skadi 10% increased movement speed. Calder's movement speed is also based off of your movement speed. So as a result, this innately increases his movement speed, which is very, very interesting to see. So I know we've gone over his second ability first, but that's just because it innately make more sense to go through. And that's what Calder do. And I will show you by leveling this ability up to rank 5 because it's just so useful. I will put points in everything as well, so we can use those in a bit. And there we go. So, as you'll see now, not only does Calder do a lot of damage, but also as well, we see that right here, we also have increased movement speed. That increased movement speed just comes from Calder, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's fantastic that he has that, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's amazing. So already you can see that that's a lot of potential in the kit, and there's some mobility in that. Now, Piercing Cold is Skadi's one. Skadi just throws an Icy Spear forward, dealing damage to all enemies and slowing them for 3 seconds. Calder's basic attacks deal double damage to targets that are afflicted by Piercing Cold. So watch. And again, we're going to use that combat log, so we see he does 40 and then 8. Now we hit that. 81. That's double the damage. That's pretty good. And they're slowed as well. So that's already, you can see there's a lot of control coming in. If she hits a couple targets with this or just one, she can single them out and punch them really, really hard. The slow increases up to a 40% slow. And in terms of, how am I going to do this? I need 100 power. Damn. How do I do this? Oh, I know. If I use shifters and then power, I need 30 power from an item. Where am I going to get 30 power from? I can get 40 from that. That's 30% attack speed. Oh, I know. This has 30 power in it. Yeah. Ta-da! Alright, so that's 80% scaling, which is pretty good, as you can see. Also, as well as you can hear as well, Calder is attacking faster because he's based off my attack speed. So that's pretty good. It's 50% of your attack speed, I believe. Because as you can see here, look at this. I'm hitting 2 times, he's hitting once. So whatever Calder's base, whatever your attack speed is, his is half of that, which is pretty sweet. And again, Piercing Cold, double damage means that Calder actually hits harder than you do on your basic attacks. If you have a look here. Look at that. That's more than my basic attacks are hitting for. So that's pretty strong. Permafrost is Skadi's third ability, and this is what gives her so much potential in not only team fights, but also that mobility I was talking about. Skadi freezes the ground for 5 seconds at a target location. The icy area deals damage to enemies that touch it, and continues to deal additional damage every 0.5 seconds they stay on it. Gods who step on the ice are slowed and lose control of their movement while sliding across this ice platform. Skadi's movement speed is increased by 40% whilst on this area and will persist for 3 seconds after it fades or she leaves. This is amazing because not only can you ping pong people around the area, but it also gives her the ability to get away a bit faster, albeit by physically running it. It gives her the ability to chase people down, and Calder can chase them down as well. But you look at this. They go in a completely random direction, and they have absolutely no way of controlling their movements on it whatsoever. You can also slow people on this. So not only does this have a 15% slow, you can then slow them further with your Piercing Cold, and Calder can be on them. It's insane. Absolutely insane. The scaling on it isn't too big of a thing. The initial damage is what you're really going to see from this more than anything. Movement abilities, so any dashes or leaps, will kind of ignore the permafrost. You won't see, say for example, you won't see a Konono slide along the ice as he's using his horn charge, but he will when it ends if he's still on it. So that's all pretty cool. We can see already that this idea that Skadi can do a lot of damage. She can control movements a lot. She really likes fighting anyone who has to get close to her. So anyone trying to dive her in the back line, she can really abuse quite a lot. If she can get close to them or they have to come close to her, she does amazing against them. And then we see her ultimate, Winter's Grasp. Snowstorms surround Skadi and Calder upon activation. Enemies in range become rooted and Calder is restored to full health. The storms persist for 4 seconds whilst dealing damage to enemies every 0.5 seconds. So this has got a okay scaling amount on it. The main thing you're using this for, this heals Calder fully and roots people in place. That is amazing. That means that cold air, you start punching damage into cold air. We need to kill cold air. We need to kill cold air. Have to kill cold air. He's doing so much damage to us. Suddenly, Winter's Grasp comes out. Now you're rooted and cold air's pelting you with attacks whilst you're being pelted with Winter's Grasp, whilst you're getting piercing cold and slowed. Now you're on permafrost. You have no control over your movement speed. Skadi's still basic attacking you this whole time. And if you don't deal with cold air, you've got this Winter's Grasp tick going as well. So it's very, very strong from that regard. Admittedly, again, big weakness is once cold air is dead, it all sort of comes around you. So as you can see, this is the range that you get on it, and it will double up if you are both in range of it. So as you can see, we get 2 ticks of the damage, and it's a fair amount of damage, but the main point about the ultimate is trying to heal. It's either you're using it to heal cold air or root a lot of people in place at once, and that's very, very powerful. So again, just as kit rotations go, you're sort of looking to do this, punch this out. If you can then slow someone, keep them on the ice, you're on the ice as well, so you get a lot of movement speed, and they get kind of screwed over by that. You can use Winter's Grasp if you need to as well, and all feels just fantastic. So that's the kit of Skadi. Very, very strong, and this works in 1v1 situations or teamfight situations or whatever. Skadi, you know, in the middle of a team fight, you know, I've dropped permafrost down, everyone's dispersed into a completely random area, and also I've created an area that is 24 in radius. That's radius, not diameter, radius, so that is a 48 radius, diameter that this thing hits in, which, just to let you know, is a pretty big area. You know, that's pretty good, to say the least. To say that you have a slip and slide area here that these guys can't walk on, and they will ping to the end of it, and you can push people on it. You can push people on that, and it's amazing that you can do that, because you control movement of people who don't have a choice. You couple this with a terror, and you plop them in between the 2 walls, and then you permafrost them. Now they're ping-ponging in potentially just forever, and they have no way of stopping it. It's amazing. You can do so much on this field. And you're slowing people as well. And then you root them in place and they just cry. That's a lot of damage that you can do very quickly with this god. So that's sort of the kit and the kit rotation. Now it's time to go over the leveling guide for Skadi. Alright then, so Skadi level 1. I'm going to go this as if she's a hunter. You can throw her mid, but it's not the safest for her. You can throw her solo, but it's not very strong there because she'll just get abused very quickly. So we're going to go with hunter. This is probably the best and safest thing for her to do. Like I said, you could throw her mid in the same veins as things like Medusa, Chiron, Neith, Carninos, those sort of things. But again, hunter for the most part. Either way, the leveling guide still makes most sense for that. So level 1, you're going to want Piercing Cold because it's the wave clear and it does the most damage. You already have Rune of the Hunt level 1, and getting it level 1 only just gives it the dash attack, which is a one-off use of a thing, so I'm not doing that. And Permafrost, while it does a fair amount of damage, it doesn't do enough damage for you to do that, and it's not fast damage. Also as well, because you get Colder level 1, you double the damage that Colder does on a target. So if you start in the jungle at red buff, you can start off with level 1 Piercing Cold. Cold Air does 80% of the basic attack damage that you do, and you hit everything in the area with Piercing Cold. It's very, very strong, and it offers you a bit of good clear. So once we've got that, the next thing you're going to want to get is you're going to want your Escape, because that's just usually the best thing to do. So you're going to pick up Permafrost. We don't need anything really on Cold Air. Cold Air's kind of fine. He does his own little thing for now, and you're more using him just... You're not really using him too much in the lane unless you have your support taking aggro, because if Cold Air takes aggro, it makes you feel very sad, because when he dies, it takes a little bit of time for him to get back up to restoring his health. I don't know if they say on here how long it takes him to regen any of his hit points. I think it's like 5-10 seconds or something like that. But either way, it's a while for him to get a hit point back. So because of that, we go with Permafrost. Once we have Permafrost, our next thing to do is get Piercing Cold again. We want to level up our Wave Clear. This helps us be stronger. Cold Air still does his own thing. We don't worry about Cold Air just yet. Level 4, you have an interesting option here. You can go Permafrost if you want to use it for additional wave clear. Personally, and what makes a lot of sense for a lot of people, is Rune of the Hunt. The reason for this is that dash attack that Calder does gives him a little bit more reach to go in for a target. He can use that to attack someone and potentially just finish them off quicker by getting that. So getting 1 point into there isn't a bad idea. Personally, I'm of the opinion that Rune of the Hunt is the option to do here, but I can understand why people would say Permafrost. The question that you then have to ask is, well, when are you getting Rune of the Hunt? And that's very late onwards. So getting that 1 point is best to just get it straight up. And you get that dash attack. So getting that dash is pretty good. The base attack damage doesn't matter, but you get that. Level 5, you will grab Winter's Grasp because it's Winter's Grasp. It's your ultimate. You kind of do want to use it. It's great. It heals up Calder fully and can turn the tide of a fight. You shove Calder onto someone. They do 4 instances of damage to him. Oh no, he's still up close to them because you used that dash attack. Now you Winter's Grasp them. Now they've got to do that all over again, and you can Pierce and Cold them. You can pelt them with basic attacks. It's all very strong for you. So as a result, you get Winter's Grasp. There's no fuss about it. Next up, you grab Piercing Cold because Piercing Cold is the one that you want. Level 6, it's your Wave Clear. We're going to do the exact same thing level 7 because that's the thing you want. Now level 8 here, people are in a... There's a trap that you can fall in here. And that's thinking, well, if I level up Calder, Calder gets more damage. And if I get more damage on Calder, that's amazing. Yes, that's true. However, remember how powerful and pertinent Permafrost can be, especially in fights for things. Yes, you get a big burst of initial damage on Permafrost, but you also get that persistent effect of just slip and slide. They don't actually give the CC a name, I don't believe. I think they just call it Permafrost, but whatever. I call it frictionless. So you give them frictionless for that period of time. That's a lot for you, and increasing the radius is so useful. So getting that, in my opinion, is better. It also means that when you're escaping, you have a longer area before you come off that for that 3 seconds. It's not much, but it is still useful. So we grab that. Level 9, options here. Winter's Grasp doesn't really do much outside of increasing the route, so you can get that to increase the route duration. Personally, and at higher levels of play, this is most prevalent. It's the same reason you don't necessarily level Humbats up. You don't really care about the duration of the CC, you just care about the fact that you got the CC. So setting off of a 1 second route is the same as setting off of a 1.5 second route, or a 1.25 second route. It's pretty much the same thing, and at higher levels you will see that it makes very little difference with regards to that, the effect of it. So you really, Winter's Grasp does everything we need it to right now. Late game, yeah, 2 second route is amazing, but there's no real major difference between a 1 and a 1.25 to a 1.5 second route. Late game, yes, but we're not at late game right now. So personally, I like picking up Piercing Cold here. Piercing Cold finishes off our wave clear, puts a lot of damage into that. The slow is really nice as well. Cold Air still punts a lot of damage around, and we don't have to worry about much else from that point onward. Now at this point, I'm going to level Permafrost over Winter's Grasp. My reason for this is the initial burst damage is great, the radius increasing is great. As team fights start breaking out and you start doing more and more grouping, this becomes more and more disruptive, and the bigger it gets, even more disruption occurs. So as a result, I level up Permafrost. I keep leveling up Permafrost, and I keep leveling it up, and I keep leveling up. Now at this point, you are in two minds here. There is a school which says, well, you know, Winter's Grasp does everything we need it to already. You've already made that point. Rune of the Hunt now does more damage, and as you start getting more itemizations online, Rune of the Hunt now becomes really, really strong because Calder can increase his basic attack, and you're increasing his attack speed yourself, and you can get him some of those additional benefits. Honestly, this is a complete toss-up. At this point, I will start leveling Winter's Grasp just because it is the ultimate, and it does still have impact for leveling it. So as a result, I will personally level Winter's Grasp. It really just comes down to how I'm feeling in game by game, and you should play it the exact same way. You should think for yourself here. Am I using Winter's Grasp on cooldown? Yes, no. If you're not really using it on cooldown, level something else if you're finding more use out of the other stuff in her kit. If you're using it on cooldown every single time, then yeah, by all means, level Winter's Grasp every time you get the chance. I personally am not of that school, but for this, I will level the ultimate. And I'll level the ultimate again. Now, this is fairly straightforward from level 14 onwards. We level up Cold Air. We level up Cold Air again, and now he gets healed from any kills that he gets. And it is that he gets, not that you get. It's Cold Air is selfish. He has to get the kill in order to heal. It does work on minions though, which is nice. So what you can do is you can effectively punt basic attacks into minions. If Cold Air's low on HP, you then just throw him at those ones, and he then heals up off them. You still get the farm, and it's a good way of using Cold Air to the best of your abilities. Level 17, you are starting to get into the very later stages of the game. The longer you can root someone in place, the more damage you can get off onto them. And at that point, it does become very useful to get longer CC, not just having CC. So from that regard, I like that. And we keep grabbing Winter's Grasp. Then we get Cold Air moving up. Then we get Cold Air moving up. And finally, level 20, we hit Winter's Grasp. So this is Skadi and Cold Air at rank 20. As you can see, they do pretty good stuff. The root duration is nice. The nice thing here, though, is again, is still just increasing that amount of damage that they take. And again, look at this. Look at how long we have kept Odin from doing what he wants to do. And look at the fact that we're still doing it. You can body block, and Cold Air acts as a body blocker as well, which is important. Cold Air body blocks because it's a physical thing. And then again, what we're going to do is we're just going to plop this down here. Again, look at this. Odin is so far away now. Look at that. That's pretty awesome. And again, we get movement speed as well, so that's really, really useful. Either way, variations on this just come down to how much you find use of the ult in comparison to Root of the Hunt. You can argue that at level 16, you just level everything else, and then you level the ult from level 16 onward. Perfectly acceptable. There's justification for doing so. I gave you justification for doing so. So it's entirely up to you. Just be very careful with Cold Air. He is the manager. Much like Poseidon, you have to manage the meter on him. Much like, I need to think of another god where managing his passive is really important. Jonqui's passive, you want to try and get that up and you want to manage that for when you ult for those kind of things. That's still very useful to do. Yeah, Cold Air is important. You have to watch him. You have to be careful. Take care of your doggo, and your doggo will do great things for you. That's a life lesson as well as a lesson for Smite. So that basically sums it up. And I will try and show you guys as best I can Cold Air getting punted and losing some damage as best I can. I'll throw it on the most powerful one because... Oh, what? What? Jungle camps? Jungle camp. That was mean. Alright, so I'll take the damage, and then what I'm going to do is let Cold Air heal up. As you can see here, Cold Air will heal up off these three. He heals up 2, I believe, so yeah, he does. There you go. Like that. So jungle camps like these take 1 a shot, which is nasty. Also, as well, good luck trying to get this to hit the target you want to hit. But yeah, that's what you want to do with Cold Air. Don't let Cold Air tank those. You tank it and let him just do additional damage to it. He can be used to tank towers as well. I'd show you if there was a tower in here, which I really wish there was, but I can't. Just remember as well, you can toggle this, but having it toggled, he can still take damage from like straight arrow shots as he's coming back. It's not an instant turn. Also as well, another really important thing, there is a range on how far Cold Air will go away before he's like, oh wait, where did you go? I need to follow you. And you can see, it's a while. It is a while, but he will come back. It's a little bit of a range, but again, just be careful. If they run too far away, or you run too far away from them, Cold Air will be like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna leave right now. So that, from that standpoint, is important. And yeah, oh, he can be CC'd as well. That's the other big thing, is Cold Air, you can just CC Cold Air if you need to. Important counters to Cold Air. Ram is the absolute best counter because not only do his astral arrows pierce through targets, but because they do additional damage, each astral arrow counts as 2 hits on Cold Air. Anything that does 2 instances of damage at the same time shuts down Cold Air. Thoth, Glyph of Pain, fire any basic attacks through that, shuts it down. Skadi doesn't like Izanami. Izanami goes through stuff, hits twice. Kernanos can hit 3 times in one go, using Summer Heat, his Cleave, and his basic attack, so he really doesn't like that. And as well, the CC, he can keep Calder at bay. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, now that we have gone over a leveling guide and a little bit more in-depth as to counters with Skadi, let's go over some builds for the goddess. Right then, so starting off in the Hunter lane is going to be fairly simple. You're going to want Death's Toll. Skadi doesn't have the greatest of early games, so giving her that additional mana sustain, giving her a health regen, all that is really, really nice. If you have a stupidly strong and aggressive lane, you can go Bluestone Pendant. Going Bluestone Pendant gives you a lot of damage, and I do mean a lot of damage, but it's not the safest of options, and Skadi isn't the safest of gods. So personally, I'm going to play it safe. You're going to get that health, you're going to get that physical power, you're going to get that mana and health regen, and all's going to go well. Once you got that, you're going to get, most likely you're going to get boots, because it helps Calder, and it helps yourself. So getting boots is pretty nice. Once you get boots, you're going to get a bunch of pots, because that's how you sort of go. You can go for a Chalice of Healing to mean that you just don't have to worry about constantly using it, or constantly backing the base with potions, but it does sit in the item slot and stops you buying additional wards. Yes, you're a hunter, you can buy wards, I know. It's not necessarily a thing that a lot of people do, but you can do it. Once you go back, you're going to finish off your boots. Options are perfectly fine for either one of them. You can say, I'm going to go Ninja Tabi because it gives me attack speed, mana, movement speed, which all help Calder a lot, except the mana, but it helps you out a bit. Other options is just Warrior Tabi is like, well, I just want power, and so, you know, all my abilities scale really well. I just want some power. So power is a perfectly fine option for you. Once you get that, this is where things get interesting for what you want to do with builds. One option is, again, to keep up with that Shifter's Shield. Shifter's Shield is still a reasonable item for hunters. It took a little bit of a nerf in terms of its cost, but it is still a nice, powerful item. Gives you a lot of damage, but Ichival. Ichival is still an item, it's still strong, and it does do a lot for you. You can go without it, but be careful if you are, especially if the opponent goes for an Ichival. If they do, you're in for a bad time. So, it's up to you. If you feel like you can play with the Shifters, by all means go for a Shifters. There's nothing wrong with Shifters in the slightest. Personally, I like running the power build on it, so I will go Shifters, but just be careful. Ichival's perfectly fine and viable and advisable, especially if your opponent gets it. And if you can get it before your opponent, then this gives you a huge boost in the lane. You know, you can ask anyone about 2 hunters boxing, one has Ichival, one doesn't. 30% attack speed, 10 penetration, oh, and a 30 power swing, totaling a total of 60 difference, is very, very powerful. So either one of those is fine. I'm going to go for the Shifters. Once you finish off Shifters, you've got a couple options here. A lot of pen is very nice. So for that regard, I'm going to get the Executioner. Gives you physical power, gives you attack speed. Both these things are nice. Also as well, gives you that penetration, which is so good. And it helps Calder as well. Every attack speed item you get, 50% of that goes to Calder, essentially, which is very, very nice. So grabbing that is pretty good. Next up, after this, we're going to go in for just a lot of penetration right now. Just a lot of penetration. So we want to get as much pen as we can. For that, we're going to get a Brawler's Beat Stick next. The reason we're going to get Brawler's Beat Stick here, 40 power, 15 pen, perfectly fine. Anti-heal is pretty good. There's nothing bad about this item, and it curves very nicely into a lot of builds. So you can grab a Brawler's Beat Stick, especially if we're going to be seeing a lot of Hell, which I really hope we don't, but I'll get to Hell eventually. Brawler's Beat Stick is fantastic for dealing with any anti-heal that you need. You can go Crusher, gives you a little bit more attack speed, power, and penetration. For an additional 100 gold, you're losing to 10 power, but you are gaining 15% attack speed, and you're getting a little bit of cooldown with that as well. The cooldown not necessarily the most useful thing, but the attack speed is still pretty good. Personally though, anti-heal is never going to be a bad thing, so we grab that. Next up, we're just going to grab Titan's Bane. Again, we just want a lot of penetration. And then finally, what high penetration build wouldn't be complete without an Odysseus bow? And so in doing this, what we get here is we get a very high base attack speed build, a lot of penetration. You'd be hard pressed to find a lot of gods that can deal with this. I mean, how much is that? That's 33%. And then there's 36% reduction. So 36% reduction plus 15 and 33%. So that's a lot. That's just a lot of penetration right there. This Ra has what, 60 physical protection. So I'm going to take away 20 of that, we'll say, with the Executioner, dropping him down to 40. Then we take away a third of that, so he's dropped down to, even if we say we only took out 10 and we took 25% of that, then he's still on 20. Now 15 physical penetration, we're going to take out down to 5. That's on 60, and that's me rounding down on the numbers. He's on 5. You pretty much full pen 60% penetration. In fact, actually, as you can see, we pretty much get there. We did pretty much get there. Hitting very, very hard. So if we have a look at this, we hit for... Look at that. He mitigated 29 damage. That's pretty good. That is pretty damn good. But yeah, that's Skadi in a nutshell. Other options for builds are the usual sort of builds that you get a lot of the time, and that's you're gonna go for an Ichiban into the Executioner. Once you've got the Executioner, you're now very, very aggressive in terms of how much attack speed and penetration you've got. You then just follow it up with a little bit more penetration with things like a Titan's Bane. Once you get that, you can pretty much just go whatever you want, really. You can go... High penetration is fantastic. You can get kin size in there as well if you feel that they're going to be very tanky. There's not too much use for the kin size right now, just with builds and things, but grabbing it is still pretty good. And then you can just round out this build with... well, let's have a look. Let's see what power item you could grab that's also got attack speed on it. Well, like I said, there's Crusher, which is still a fine item. Brawler's Beatstick is a fine item. You could, if you want, go for Atalanta's Bow. It's not the best item, honestly, so I would avoid it. There is always going to be the option of going for just a straight Odysseus bow, get a lot of attack speed, and then if you just want some super high power late game, then you can always go for a Shifters here, and no one would kind of blame you. You know, it's a lot of attack speed, it's very, very high penetration, it's all good, a lot of damage goes through, and no one will really be upset with you. Even keeping the Ichiban till late game, it's still a very good item even in the later stages of the game, as you can see. Just look at that. And as well, Calder benefits off this as well. Look at this. And Calder benefits a lot off the piercing cold as well. The more attacks he can get in those 3 seconds when they're slowed, the better off he is. You can get 3 lots off of that. That's a lot of damage. So yeah, there's a lot of options for Skadi. She's so fun and so viable. It's unreal. If you want, you can run Runeforge Hammer on her. Please don't run Runeforge Hammer on her. But if you really feel like it, then by all means do it. It gives her a lot of health with that kind of stuff. So if we go for the yeah, we do want kin size in there, and we want a Shifter shield, something like this. What you'll see here is the amount of damage they take is insane. Don't forget they're slowed as well, so we're just going to do even more damage. Now we're going to do this, and just look at the damage numbers that you're hitting here. It is fairly nuts the amount of damage that you could do. So go and have fun and experiment with Skadi. She's a lot of fun, and you know, you get to play around with a doggo. I mean, who doesn't love dogs? I know F. does love dogs, so this god, I guess, is F. approved because of a dog. Though I wonder which he prefers more. Does he prefer Calder or Bao with Erlang Shen? Either way, that's a topic for another time. Either way, ladies and gentlemen, my name has been SuperSonicBlur. Let me know if there are any gods that you guys want me to do in this. I did mention that I'm looking to try and get Hell done, because Hell is going to see more play, and I'm not sad about this, but I am going to be disappointed in seeing one of my favorite gods played very poorly. But I will get to that when I get to that. If there are any gods that you guys want to see, let me know in the comment section down below. And as well, if there are any things in this which you think I missed, overlooked, or genuinely just didn't think of, you know. We want to pool all that experience into one place so everyone can learn and get better. I've said this at the end of every one of these videos because it's damn true. We want to create an area where everyone can come to and say, hey, this is where I want to learn about this god. You know, that's great. So share your experiences, you know, be them good, bad, or indifferent. My name has been SuperSonicBlur. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and favorite for more, and to share this stuff so people know that it exists. You guys have been a fantastic audience, and I shall see you all next time.